Hello again, everyone. I think someone's making noise here, but I think we'll show you in a few seconds who it is. This is Gaz Beal, and you're watching Casual Conversations. And we always have very special, interesting guests. And this time we have Joe Peters. And Joe Peters is back right there. He is a senior real estate specialist, which is a very cool title. We'll get into that more right now. But welcome back, Joe. How you been?
Hey, pretty good. That's one of the things I do. I'm a listing agent more than a selling agent. I in effect, help buyers, but there's more opportunity now to help people sell their house. And then when I had a nice buyer last year, a young couple came along and just needed the right size. They were in a townhouse with two kids and a dog. It wasn't fitting outside. Inside was great. And we got them into a nice 3/4 acre house for the same price. And sold one, bought the other, and on with life. So, but part of what I do is work with seniors, and we'll talk about that at the very end because there's a lot to talk about today. What's going on in the East? I don't know what you want to call the Iran situation, but Iran is affecting our market, believe it or not, and you can imagine why. The effect on energy prices is affecting the interest rate. The effect on interest rate is affecting the buyers, and it's locking in a lot of people that are even further locked in than they used to be and saying, I'm not going to sell this house. I got a 2.5%, 3% mortgage. Why would I take a 6 or 6.5 at this point?
Yeah, it's one of the things I know well, energy prices or gasoline prices, oil, home
Right.
heating oil, which we kind of just done with that. This winter was horrible with the cold, and now it got warm, it got cold again. And
Yeah.
so, and you look at the gas and it's over $4, which is crazy. I haven't seen that in many years, from like $2 and something. So, how does that affects the market right
Well,
now?
and a lot of people don't remember gas was $4 in 2022 for a while. There was an oil shortage. I don't remember the cause of it. And if you put that in today's money, that's 4.50 a gallon today. So it's not like we haven't hit this before, but every time we hit it, people don't remember. And we were down into the 370s, 270s, 280s, and now we're up to almost. I paid at Costco. It's usually a little cheaper, 375 the other day. It's the cheapest I've seen it. Most are four something. So how does it affect it when we get into a situation like we are with Iran and it affects energy prices or oil? Oil is up somewhere a little over $100 a gallon and or a barrel, I guess it is, whatever the equivalent that they quoted in. And as a result, it used to be $65 a barrel only 45 days ago. It is affecting the yield of the bonds. The 10-year bond drives interest rates. So part of the 10-year bond is energy prices, and part of energy prices is oil and gas. The cost of driving a car is not only gone up, but I think we're seeing more and more people not doing it as much, trying to compensate for the fact that it went up. It's just like your heating of your house. Yeah, we all spent a lot more money this year heating the house than we did last year or the last 10 years. But I can remember winters like that when I was a kid. I've never seen snow like I saw when I was a kid. Of course, that wasn't just last year, but
I think, Joe, in 1982 was the biggest snowstorm
was
that
it?
hit. 1982 was big because I remember a friend mine was going to Rutgers, and it's the first time Rutgers got closed in New Brunswick in the history of
Wow.
Rutgers. But I remind folks, you're watching Casual Conversations, Joe Peters, right there, and then give him a call at 908-304-4660 and tell him the website.
Yeah, it's jpeters.com. My name is Joe Peters, and jpeters.com is my website. My blog is there. This interview will be there when it's over. I have my own podcast as well. There's some interesting podcast episodes out there. And I try to post 2 or 3 times a week, just an interesting article as to what's happening in real estate. So we're we're about a month into our spring season. And our spring season is typically just that in real estate. It's houses come on the market, buyers come out, daffodils stick their head through the ground, and we get back to a normal buy houses, sell houses market. This year, it's been affected by what's happening in Iran. As a matter of fact, that happened, I think, the last day of February. And then March 1st, which was a Sunday, a lot of, I always tell my people, take Super Bowl and add a week to 10 days to it. And that's when you should put the house on the market, depending on the weather. And if you remember that last week in February, we did have a lot of snow, but it melted real quick. And people that put the houses on are finding two things are happening. The amount of people coming to look at the houses is down, and as a second thing that's happening is not as many houses are on the market. Not as many houses are on the market as we typically have, because people are saying, I think I'll wait this thing out. I know over the years, I've been in sales a long, long time. And to me, sales isn't selling somebody something, it's helping them complete their dream. And one of the things I've always been taught is that a confused buyer doesn't buy. And I think when you look at the fact that interest rates went from 5.95 all the way up to 6.65 earlier this week, they're now back to about 6.5 something. You're confusing the buyers. People, there's some good and some bad, a yin and a yang to everything. If you take a look at what typically happens this time of the year, there are so many buyers out, things are crazy. Well, it's not happening this year for the two reasons I mentioned, and they're all based on one thing. Interest rates are up and fuel prices are up. So people are a little less reluctant to run around and look at open houses than they might be. And people are, how high will these prices go? I don't want to get stuck in a 7% mortgage again, which I don't think we're going to see. I mean, they peaked at 6.6 the other day, and they're now back closer to 6.5. But that's a half a point higher than it was just 30 days ago before this Iran thing started. And our administration, love them or hate them, says as soon as this is over, oil prices are going to come back down. And no, I've heard nobody disagree with them on that, but they haven't come down yet. And so we're talking about what do you have in your hands today? And what we have in hands today is a little bit of concern.
Well, Joe, you're so knowledgeable with your years of experience. I know you have years of experience in real estate and other things. I have in media and video and,
Right.
social media these days. And I know you produced a market report. So what makes your market report different than others?
Well, my market report is different than others is because it's hyper local. And what does hyper mean? It means very, very local. All I look at is Hunterdon County and Somerset County. They are two of the top 3 counties in New Jersey. If you take a look at the top 20 counties earning capability in the country, those 3 counties, Hunterdon, Somerset, and Morris, are in the top 20. So we live sort of where the money's at. That's not a good expression, but it's where people want to live. So as a result, I can't be an expert all over New Jersey. I focus on those 2 counties. And what's the difference between Hunterdon and Somerset? Hunterdon's a little further to the west. If you want to be where the horses, you turn left at the horses and right at the cows, you probably want Hunterdon County. Somerset County, you get a really nice house and it's pretty and great, but a little more expensive. And that's more like Somerset, like Warren, Watchung, the Hills, things like that, Bridgewater, Hillsborough. So my newsletter just focuses on us 2. I have one for each county. I give statistics for each county, statistics you can't find elsewhere. And what we're seeing is that in both counties, inventory is up somewhere around 8 or 9%, and sales are down versus if you look at year-to-date sales, our sales are down 4 or 5% for the reasons I just mentioned. Now, if this was a normal year, in effect, sales would be up. So my message to buyers who are on the fence is a little good in everything. And the good right now is that there's may not be as much inventory as we would like to see, although it's up from last year. It's even up nicely since the first of this year, but it's not up where we expected it to be yet. That's not a great point, but there's no buyers out. You don't have competition. You're not going to get into these multiple offers on a house.
I lost your signal, Joe.
Yeah, I had an agent I was dealing with last week had a an under 500 in western Hunterdon County. That's pretty close to Pennsylvania. You typically can see the mountains when you're out that far from Pennsylvania. And they had it was like a 459, and she had like 37 offers because that's the price point the first time buyer is in. So yeah, she saw that. But if you're shopping up in the first time buyers are now typically in the 5 to 650 range, you're not hitting as much competition. So it's a great time to buy. Will you pay a little bit extra in interest? Well, go talk to your mortgage person. And if you can't find one, give me a call and I'll introduce you to our local guy. There's some very competitive mortgages out there. I don't think just because the interest rate bounced up a half a point, interest is up a half a point. But I got to tell you, it's up a little. And it's not what it was 30 days ago. And it's not what it's going to be 30 days from now. It'll probably be back, hopefully, more towards normal.
Well, let's take a pause. I'd like to remind everyone that you're listening or actually watching or listening. You could be listening also to this podcast. It's available on Apple, iHeart, iTunes, wherever the heck great podcasts are played. So if you, as I always say, if you want to see how great Joe and I look, you can go to the video version on YouTube. Or if you want to just listen, get amazing information from Joe all about real estate in Somerset, Hunterdon County, all over New Jersey. Also, Joe, do you help out people moving in from out of the area?
Definitely, and vice versa. So if you're trying to find a place, I just dealt with a woman 2 weeks ago who I met was moving up from Florida. She's moving into one of the farmers. I think, I won't mention it by name, but one of the larger farmers. And Somerset County is farmer territory. If you're going to work for farmer, you couldn't pick a better county in the area. And she has to sell a house in Florida, already has an agent down there, but she needs an agent up here in order to find the house she's looking for. So I have offered my services to her. She's not going to move till June, but she did come to one of my open houses and one of my listings. I did get to meet her, and I'm hoping we do some business. But in the past, I've done that a lot. And then people moving out of the area, I help with as well, because that's time to sell your house. And you may not know any agent where you're going, so I could find a good Coldwell Banker agent in that area and introduce you to them so that you don't get some newbie and not realize the person's only sold 2 houses. We'll get you one of our top agents where you're moving to.
Wow, Joe. So let's talk more about, let's say, I'm trying to sell a house and I don't want to, well, some people want to do it on their own. Now, tell me the reason why people should not be considered that. It might seem, I'll save some money, I'll do this, but is that a good thing to do? There's also companies that kind of say they can do better.
It happens. 93% of all houses are sold through real estate agents, and there's a reason for it. It's not that people don't know how to do it. You could probably represent your house as well as a real estate agent could in your mind. The real estate agent wouldn't say things you would say, but secondly, in effect, there's 124 steps in selling a house, including a lot of legal technicalities. And you can't, in effect, be possibly an expert in an area that I've sold hundreds of houses over the last 20 years. You get enough where I walk into a property and I say, I can tell you what's going to be needed to be addressed and what's not going to be needed to be addressed, just from my experience, where you're not going to know that yourself. I mean, you may turn around and put $75,000 into a kitchen. It's going to get you $15,000 more for the house. It makes no sense. Take a few dollars off the house because the kitchen is dated and market it competitively, and let the person who buys it put the color kitchen, the style kitchen in that they want it. So a lot of times, and I just had one in my own neighborhood, and the customer decided to list it themselves. And after about 35, 40 days, they didn't call me because I think, in effect, I don't like to do business with the people next door to me. And they probably felt the same way. You want a little bit of privacy in your development. But they did call another Coldwell Banker agency, and they got the house sold in about 10 days. So we have ways of, when I list a house, it goes out onto Garden State MLS, and then from there it goes to about 180 sites. Most people look at Zillow. Zillow is a great marketing tool. It's not the most accurate site in the world. And if somebody wants to talk to me about what I mean by that, give me a call and I'll explain it to them. But they're a great marketing company. Half the people who walk into an open house found it on Zillow and came out. So you need somebody. When you need your tooth fixed, you go to a dentist. When your car fixed, you go to an auto repair. When you need a house sold, I can show you on paper, we will make more money off your house after my commission than you will make it selling it yourself, unless you get pretty damn lucky.
Wow. That's where experience comes into play.
It's you go with the pros. If you don't really want to be told how you should be doing it, sell it yourself. There's a lot of people who do it and in effect will walk away with $10,000 or $20,000 less because they think they're going to save 7,000 or 8,000. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Pricing your house, very difficult to do in today's market, because we've got to look at not only how your house compares to others in your market, in your area, but then secondly, what happened since they sold their house. If you sold a house 3 months ago, you could add some money to it today. And they're not taking that into consideration. So that's like the present value of money. Last year, houses went up 5%. So on average, that's about 0.5% a month. So if you sold a house 90 days ago, you probably can add 1.5% to the selling price of that house before you compare it, because that's what it would sell for today. People don't know to do that. You've got an unfinished basement versus a finished basement. If you've got a deck versus no deck, I've got dollar equivalents for all of those. And we just use them as building blocks as we price the house in order to get you the max for your money.
Joe, we're talking a lot about buying, but at what point do you, let's say, when is renting good versus buying? When would you make that decision for most people?
I would, well, if you own a house, whether you own it 1 year or 10 years, versus if you rent a house or an apartment for the same period of time, I can show you that a renter will have 5% of the equity or net worth in their investment versus owning at any point in time. Because when you buy a house, let's say you put the full 20% down, you buy a $500,000 house, you put $100,000 down, you don't get appreciation, that 5% I'm talking about, on just 100,000. You get it on the whole 500,000. That's what's called leverage. And you're getting more out of it than you're putting into it. Where you go to an apartment, you're probably paying a little bit more because you're paying somebody else's mortgage for them. And secondly, you're not getting any appreciation out of it. The money's all gone. And when you're owning an apartment, you don't have maintenance. So that's a savings, but you're probably using that money elsewhere. Average house in Somerset County is about $750,000. Average house. In order to get 20% down, it's 135, if I remember right. That's a lot of savings you got to do. And then once you get that done, you got to take the 80%, you got to finance it, you got to have the taxes, you got to have the insurance, and you got to add maybe the homeowners to it. And all of a sudden, you've got a payment. And that's what we got to figure out front as a buyer is, what are you qualified to buy? Let's not go get excited about something and then find out I can't afford that house. That's heartbreaking. What we do is have you talk to a loan person internally, or you could use your own. And then that person will get back to me and say, here's the price range they should be shopping in, and here's how much they're going to be putting down. I don't get into people's assets. I don't get into people's credit. I don't get into people's whatever the other expenses are. Like a lot of people, as a first-time buyer, have school debt, and they're still paying off the school loans. And that counts against your credit. And if you did make those payments, you may have hurt your credit. So we've got to understand your credit situation. But I'm not an expert there even. It's in the real estate business, but we have people that do it. They're comfortable with you. They'll pull your credit. They'll pull your background on you, and they'll work with you based on how much you earn, how much you can afford, how much you owe for other things. And typically we're trying to stay under 30% of your take home on a house payment. So let's say you and your wife earn $10,000 a month between you. That's a reasonable number for a young couple at 5 years out of school. Earn 120 between you. 30% of $10,000 is $3,000 a month. That doesn't buy a lot of house. You can't afford that 750, that's for sure. You can afford maybe that 400 that just had 37 offers on it, but you got a lot of competition. So you got to understand that as well. And it helps you present your offer by being qualified. If you come in and you're going to put 3.5% down on an FHA, you might find out they won't even accept the offer.
Wow, Joe. We have these casual conversations go pretty quickly, people. So you got to watch them and listen to them often because a lot of information is given out. And Joe Peters, 908-304-4660, 908-304-4660.
And just give me a call. If I'm not talking to somebody else, you're probably going to find out I pick up the phone and talk to you. Easy to talk to, just as easy as you're listening to me.
That's true. That's true. He picks up every time I call. I don't know how he does. Oh, caller ID. So, Joe, you're the senior real estate expert. All right. We have like 8 minutes left here. So,
okay. So seniors real estate is becoming a larger part of my business because there's more and more seniors going to a facility or maybe higher. And it usually is their children that I get involved with. So first of all, what we've got to concern ourselves is the dignity of the senior. They have to be comfortable with what we're doing. If the person's between 65 and 75, they're probably thinking about retiring in place, which means let's reconfigure the house. I can show you where you can get resources to do that. But if it's coming to the point where I can't go up and down the stairs anymore, well, now it's either a chairlift or maybe I need a one-floor living facility or even an assisted living because you got an ailment. And I deal with a seniors real estate group in Somerset County, and I cover both Somerset and Hunterdon. Both counties are covered by this group. We have people that help you clean the house out. We have people that help you get it ready for market. And we have myself who can market it for you. And you might be surprised how that house you grew up in, the mom and dad are still living in. And let me give you a scenario. A lot of people go home for the holidays. That didn't happen that long ago. 90 days ago, you visited mom or dad, might have been out of state. And you notice that, wow, the mail's piling up. The house is in a little bit of disarray and mom or dad are not getting around the way they used to. That's the time to start talking to somebody to get some help, because obviously it's not going to get better. If you go home and ignore it, the next time you come back, it's going to be worse. Or you're going to get a call in the middle of the night. Your father just fell on the sidewalk outside. He's in the hospital. So part of my business is that business. We help people with dignity dispose of their assets, including the house, and get into that next chapter of their life. The next chapter could be an assisted living. I had a fellow just 2 years ago where his wife passed. And he was in his early 80s, but still driving a car, still a little business on the side. He was very active, 80-year-old, but he wanted to go live in an assisted living where some of his friends were there already. It was a community that he and his wife knew about and were going to go into together in the next year or two. And I helped him get the house ready for market, and he moved there. But not everybody's that lucky that they're in control at that point in time. Most of the times it's their kids that are saying, who do I call? Well, I'm the person to call. I'm certified. I've done that a lot, that type of business a lot, and I'm very easy to work with. And I'm a senior myself. So in effect, I got a lot of empathy for what they're going through.
Well, speaking of seniors, I want to ask the seniors out there what that device over there is. Okay, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Don't say what it is, okay, Joe, because maybe we'll get some comments. And comments are great. And also, you can not only comment on this video, and please share it and off YouTube and other places and audio versions as well. And you can also type in a question, a general question to Joe, and If you don't want to make it public, there's the number 304-4660. You get the real Joe on the phone right there. The real
Right.
Joe Peters will talk to you, not a machine or AI. It will be the real Joe Peters. Is that correct, Joe Peters? Is that
The
you?
real Joe Peters. There is no artificial Joe Peters. Yeah, let me say in closing, I'm easy to talk to. I love helping people. I love working with people that want me to help direct them as to what they're doing. And I can lend a lot of expertise to the situation. If you'd like to read about me, go to my site and you can see at the bottom of my page, jpeters.com. That's a blog or a website, and you can see all my references on
Yeah, there's
Zillow.
some right there. There's a picture of the site
Or
right
you could
there.
just go to Zillow and look me up. And
Yeah,
I've got about 60 different sets of comments that have been left out there from people over the years. And it's amazing. I find some of the comments to be, I didn't know that. It's like one of my clients said, he stopped and talked to my children every time he came over. I said, doesn't everybody? It's, that was a nice comment. And others have said, look, I was in real estate myself. This guy knows what he's doing. Take a look through the comments. The recommendations are there. I can introduce you to anybody personally that you want to talk to a little more in depth on that. And I'm a wealth of knowledge. I have been doing this since 2004, and I've got a professional background before that. And in effect, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people buy and sell houses during that time.
Well, Joe, you've helped us always. You come back here once a quarter to show us the cool stuff happening in real estate, and you have a great history you can share with and tell stories. And we love the stories. Everybody loves stories, I think. And jpeters.com, jpeters.com, 908-304-4660. And well, you have like 1 minute left there, Joe. So fill it up with some really cool stuff about you. What do we don't know about you? What else do you like to do besides
Well,
real
what you don't know about me is I've got a red Corvette,
estate?
2001 Z06. I love sports cars. I've got a big sedan that I use for business, four-door, so I could drive people around as well. And I love sport fishing. I've got a timeshare in the Keys. We go down there, and the kids fly in, and we go fishing. Usually around it starts usually around Thanksgiving week, and we're there till about the 10th of December. And got 5 adult children and a whole herd of grandchildren and great grandchildren. So kids are where it's at. I go to church and watch these little kids, and I'm saying, this is where it's at. Just
Yeah.
watching them grow.
Yep, amazing. Let them grow. They grow up fast. So, as they say,
All I
people
got,
do
it's like a
appreciate
dog. All I got to do is feed them, man. The rest is.
it. Especially when they're teenagers, they eat all the time.
All
So,
the
hey,
time.
so why do you do this fine casual conversation? I love having you here. So, why do you do it?
I do it because it's a good medium. It's an honest medium to talk to people. We, in effect, reach people through this that we wouldn't reach in any other way. And I think more and more people are getting used to blogging with all the blogs that are on tele. It seems like everybody's got a blog. And this is one more way to talk to people. And it works. It gives me an insight to what people are thinking about. And I, in effect, have met very few people that I don't want to work with. So, give me a call. If you want help, I'm here to help you. And we'll get started. 908-304-4660 or jpeters@jpeters.com is my email address.
Well, thank you again, Joe. And we talk to you next time soon with more information. Yep. So, till then, Joe, thanks for being on the Casual Conversations and keep going, keep selling.
Thank you, Kaz.
Bye.
Bye-bye.